Hi guys, and welcome to Mom Babes, where every mom is a babe. And if you're like, Christina, I don't feel like a babe, I actually am not dressed for the day yet, and it's 5 p.m. and I just feel gross. I don't even know what happened today. I just never got dressed, and it's already time to re-put on my pajamas, which I'm already wearing. Anyways, if that's you, this show is literally especially for you. None of us has it all together, but we can all hang out together here. I make videos for moms who are creatives, which is you. And if you're like, I'm not a creative, that's a lie, because raising a live human being is the most creative thing that there is. I would love it if you guys would subscribe and ding the bell so you could get notified each time that I release a new video. I put them out every Thursday. And I just loved it if you'd come hang out with me and talk about mom stuff, and let's be friends, okay? Today I am talking about something that I am so excited to talk about on here, because this is kind of the whole reason, the core of why I started doing the show in the first place was to encourage moms like you. I had this moment where I was, multiple moments if we're being honest, where I was overwhelmed and exhausted and worn out and just felt gross and awful and less than like a person, if that makes sense. Like you're taking care of all these other people, but there was no room for my needs. And, you know, in the midst of that, there was this whole like boss babe, like culture and like, oh, you're such a babe, blah, blah, blah. And I just had this thought like, I don't feel like a babe. I'm changing poopy diapers and I'm a mess and I'm tired and I'm cranky. Why, like moms more than anybody else should feel like babes. And so out of that, I was like, well, how can I don't feel like a babe. There's gotta be someone else who also doesn't feel like a babe. Why can't we like actually remind each other that we are babes together? And so that is what this show kind of was birthed out of. I make an effort every single show to tell you that you are doing a good job, because we get so hard on ourselves. And don't pretend like you don't have any mom guilt, because we all have those moments where we're just so disappointed because, you know, we're running the show, and when the show doesn't go great, we feel the responsibility. But I'm very much a new mom too. Like I'm not on the other side of this giving you my past wisdom. I am in this now. Like I am in the reeds. I'm in the trenches. I am trying to figure this out. This is my real raw in the present, holding your hand, being with you as you're also going through the same thing. The message that I really want to give to you more than anything else is that you are doing a good job. And if you didn't hear me the first time, I'm going to say it a few more times. If no one has told you yet today, you are doing a good job. You are doing a good job. You are doing a good job. Okay? That was an air 5 in case I wasn't clear. You are doing a good job. Motherhood can often be lonely, because even though a lot of people are moms, it's not like you're the only mom in the world. There's actually a lot of moms in the world. We are not physically together doing mom life together. I mean, unless you're in like a sister wife situation, you're kind of by yourself in your own home, in your own space, doing the mom thing. Yes, you have these moments where, cool, our kids can be on this baseball team together and we can have community there, or we can go do this event. But for the main part of basically running the show, running your home, running this essentially small little community, this small little business that is your home, you are doing it by yourself for the most part. Yes, you get input from other people, but as far as the actual work, day in, day out, the person that's there, the person that clocks in early and stays late and is on call 24/7, that is you. And it's a big job, it's a big responsibility, and I know that we feel the weight of that. So what I want to do is, in the midst of you navigating how you are going to build this beautiful life for your family, come alongside you and say, hey, it's going to be okay. You are doing a good job. Even though, honestly, I don't feel that way sometimes. I get that overwhelm. I feel very tired and just get to the point where I shut down. And for me, it's helpful to think about, okay, well, when I'm starting to shut down, who can I text and encourage that I know that is a mom? Who can I send a little encouragement to? Who can I make a video for that gets me outside of myself? Because if we stay there, it is so easy to just like shut down. And I'm guilty of this too, just trying to make it to bedtime and like, oh, once we can hit bedtime, then, you know, we get our second. I also think it's okay to feel that way, to allow myself to get to the mode where, you know, today we're just gonna make it to bedtime, and that's good. Sometimes it is enough to just endure things, especially if you're having really hard days, especially if you're in those days where all the kids are sick and miserable, you're sick, no one's having a good time, and there aren't really any like giggles and precious moments and good teachable like learning times. Especially in those moments is when we need to remind ourselves that we are good moms. You are a good mom. And I think the thing that's hardest about it is you don't have the luxury of taking an actual break. I know that breaks always give us a breath and a chance to come back with a renewed vision and a renewed perspective on things. Even when you're working like a desk job, you can go for a walk for 10 minutes. You can't always go for a walk for 10 minutes when you are a mom, especially if you have really little kids that are starting to toddle and you actually have to watch them all the time so that they don't get a serious injury. So I want to make a video for that moment, for the moment that is really hard, the moment that you're throwing in the towel, the moment that you want to give up, the moment that you're overwhelmed, the moment that you cannot handle anything else. If someone else cries or whines or asks for anything, you are gonna snap and snap so hard because you're just beyond. I do think it's important to take care of ourselves, but sometimes even the weight of taking care of ourselves and doing like our own basic hygiene and feeding ourselves and hydrating, even that can be another task and be overwhelming. Although it is really good for the sustainability of momhood, it's hard to prioritize. So in some of my videos, I focus on teaching how I prioritize myself, but this video is not about that. This video is about, hey, this is rough and it's okay that it's rough and it's all gonna be okay. It's gonna work out, even if today it doesn't feel like it. And when I think about the mom that I wanna make this for, I think about someone who is in the quiet spaces, maybe someone who feels alone and unacknowledged and doesn't really know any other moms, it doesn't have a lot of community, and is just frustrated and thinking the thought that it can't be this way. Like, it's not meant to be this way. Why is this so hard? If this is something that is so good and so valuable, why is this so difficult? Why am I so challenged? What is wrong with me that I can't seem to do this like other moms are doing this? And by the way, the other moms are not like doing it all the way. And if they are, they have tons of help. Like, if this is the mom who is like working and her kids are always happy and smiling for the camera and her house is always clean, like, let me tell you, she has a support system. She has somebody that's coming to help clean her house, somebody that's coming to do the yard. She has maybe even a nanny that comes for a few hours so she can get some work done, or she's taking those kids to daycare. You cannot do it all. And so know that regardless of what it looks like for other people, you are seen. This is important, and the work that you're doing is important. And it's hard to remember that when you have drool all over you and you still haven't gotten dressed and it's 5 o'clock at night and you're just like, why is it like this? Like, why is this so tiring? Anyway, I think about you and the mom who's in the quiet space who feels brushed to the side or ignored, or like everything that you wanted has kind of been put on hold for a time for your kids. And I want you to know that that's okay, because that was me when I was first starting a family, and that first kid is like a bam wake up call, because there is no, oh, you have a baby for 2 days out of the week, now 3 days out of the week. You go from like no baby to 24/7 baby, and there is no transition. And so it's a very steep incline. And if you haven't gone through delivery, that's a new experience. Postpartum is a new experience. Sleep deprivation, goodness, sleep deprivation is a new experience. And what I'm trying to say is what you're feeling is normal. It's normal to feel, oh, I don't have as much time for myself. Because you actually, literally, if you lay the time out, do not have as much time for yourself, because you actually have to take care of this other person. And so you are supposed to feel that way. It will not be that way all the time. I know it feels like it will be this way forever, but it will not be this way forever. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, especially if you do sleep training. I will link to the video because everybody should sleep train because it makes your mom life so much better. So here's my sleep training video. I do sometimes feel the pressure when my kids are having a rough day to like resistance to potty training or teething, and they're just miserable 24/7, and there's only so much you can do with the teething thing. They're just drooling and cranky, which makes you cranky because you can only hold a baby so long. In those moments, you have the power as the mom to be able to overcome their crankiness and start tickling them or play a game or muster the energy to make it better, to make it happier for them. And I know that that does work. Or change their environment, take them outside, put them in the bathtub, do something. But I've been in that place so many times where I'm just spent and out, and I can't do anything else. I am not even maxed. I'm so far beyond maxed. I can't even put on shoes for myself to take my kids outside because I'm just spent. And so I'm very sensitive to other moms who feel that way. If you feel just spent, just know that you're not alone. I have been there, that I am still there. Like, it's not like, oh, I used to feel that. No, I feel that now. I still feel it very often. And what I'm getting used to and what is helpful for me is to say, it's okay. I'm also gonna give you some things that I physically say out loud to myself, like a crazy person. I started saying a few things out loud to myself that have really helped me throughout my day when I get into these really just awful, and you've been there, just awful, overwhelming, I'm done, want to quit, stressful moments. And so the first thing that I started to say to myself out loud, and you should practice this, is it is enough. Because as you're going through transitions and kids and they're changing, and then once you finally, have your handle on, okay, now I know how to handle my 2-year-old and my 1-year-old, and then they change and then you have to readjust. So when you feel like you're not doing it and, oh, I used to be able to do this, but I can't anymore, I start saying to myself, it is enough. For example, I will look at the kitchen, it is a disaster, but then I will look at my kids who, are fed. So it is enough. It is enough that the kids are fed today. It is enough. Or I will look at my workout schedule for the week and see, okay, well, I wanted to work out 4 times this week, but I only ended up working out 1.5. It is enough. It is enough. It is enough. You are enough. It is enough. Your best is enough. And so when I'm in those really hard moments and the kids are crying and I'm about to melt down, I will say out loud, it is enough. It is enough that I'm keeping them alive. I am clothing them. They are wearing on me a lot. I'm not in the best place. It's okay to not be super happy mom all the time and fix everything for them. It is enough to have them learn how to deal with their emotions and be sad for a second, and have all of us kind of go through that transition together, even though it kind of is awful and not super fun for anybody. The other thing I say to myself is, you have time. Especially if you have a little baby. I remember having a newborn and the baby would start crying, and especially as breastfeeding, and he was kind of underweight. So I had this I need to feed him right now. Oh my goodness, he's starving. He's gonna waste away. I need to feed him right now. So I had a hard time going pee, drinking water, doing very basic things. I would sit on the couch with him and just hold him and feed him and, make sure he was entertained with the play mat. And then as you get more kids, you realize, oh, well, we can't take care of everyone anymore. So sorry guys, you're just gonna have to cry. But even though I know that, I still get to this point where, I put the kid down, kid starts crying, or I'm fixing some snack for myself, but they want more food and they start crying about it. The whining, you feel the inner prompt to, address the whining. But to counter that, I say to myself, you have time. You have time to fix yourself a snack. You have time. So I microwave my water because I'm a weirdo. And so I will pour myself a glass of water out of the fridge, put it in the microwave for 1 minute. And it's 1 minute. But in that 1 minute, I have to tell myself, you have time. You have time to wait 1 minute to, take out your water. I chug my water. I'm not supposed to probably, but it's how I stay hydrated. And you have time to microwave your water. You have time to chug your water. You have time to be hydrated. And that has been really, really helpful for me in those really tense moments of fighting, okay, yes, we're gonna meet your need, but I have needs too. You have time. Christina, you have time. Person, whoever you are, you have time. One of the things I'm most passionate about is creating space for moms to be creative in the midst of motherhood, which can take itself in like many different forms, i.e. baking some cookies with your kids is a creative thing that's really fun. Taking some adult coloring books and just coloring for no purpose or reason, just to enjoy the color and the process and the relaxation. Or doing that thing that is really important and really special to you. And I remember getting frustrated when I didn't have time for that thing that I was most passionate about. And if you're there right now, if you have a hard time starting, it's okay. You're gonna get there eventually. Obviously, all the old things of just try 1 minute a day, 2 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, which sounds really dumb, but if you can actually do that, like for me, this whole process was born out of starting to write books. So I wanted to write books, and then I discovered, oh, I really like this video blogging thing, and taking an hour a day. And that's all I did was an hour a day, an hour a day, an hour a day. And I was really consistent with my hour a day, which, you know, if you are looking at other professional people and what they're able to accomplish and all that they've invested, they're doing like, you know, full-time job, 5, 6, 7 hours a day. And I could only do an hour a day. So I felt very insufficient. But even if you aren't at an hour a day, even if you are at 5 minutes, once you discipline yourself to do the 5 minutes, you will be able to do 7 minutes, and then discipline yourself for the 7 minutes, and then 10 minutes. And it really is about making it practical in that way. And this is what's going to happen to you, because this happened to me, is you will get excited about the small amount of time that you have created for yourself, and you will say, how can I make this time bigger? What can I rearrange? What can I do so that I can make this time bigger, because I really, really enjoy this time? And so because you are a capable, smart, amazing mom, you are going to find a way to make that time bigger, whatever that looks like for your schedule. I do a video on how to get anything done with littles, which I will link to as well if you want some ideas. But mostly I want to tell you that you are a creative, and as a creative, you can find a creative way to make time for yourself, which hopefully will make these crazy, stressful meltdown moments better. But even if they don't, at least you have a space where you can do the thing that brings you life. And that is what I'm so excited for you to get to, is you doing the thing that makes you you, that makes your heart sing, that makes you so fulfilled and happy. That would be my greatest vision for you. Vision. Let's think about what our vision is. What do you want your life to look like? Not like somebody else's life in this imaginary, oh, this would be great, but on a practical level, what would be a cool thing for your life to look like? And I wouldn't even say go out a year. I would say like in a week, in a month, like a week in a month. What would be a cool thing that I could build into my life that would be really fun? And then after that week and that month, go see where you're at. Don't get mad at yourself. Adjust and say, okay, that worked or that didn't work. Why didn't that work? Let's try again. Something that I've always struggled with was failure and not having the right perspective on it, and getting really, really hard on myself for my failures. And as I've matured, what is more constructive is when you can look at that failure, and instead of being like, oh, I suck, this is the worst, I'm not doing this again. Yes, I'm a little dramatic. I'm working on it still. But you can look at that failure and say, okay, like, why did that actually fail? And then I always say, breathe, Christina. Let's take this in stride. You're creative. You're capable. Let's strategize. How can we do this? Like, what did we learn from this? Let's make it valuable. Let's learn something out of it. Because if I'm going to fail, goodness gracious, I'm going to sting and learn something from it. Tangent. It reminds me, if anybody else plays board games, especially the more complex type worker placement games, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry, but this is how I think about it, is a game like Agricola. You can look it up. You have to place people to do certain things. So you're like kind of agriculture, running a farm. So you're either, getting pigs or feeding your family or growing crops, and you have to multitask and do all these things. And there are certain things that you can do that will give you benefits for the whole game. Like at the end of every harvest, you get special, extra food, which you'll use to feed your family. And there's so many harvests before the end of the game. And so if you can do those things that will help you at the beginning of the game that you have as patterns to your machine that you're building during the game, then when you get to the end of the game, you'll see how helpful it is. And when you are getting that food at every harvest, you're looking at, oh, that was really helpful because now I can do this and now I can do this. And although it sounds silly, it's a lot like life. I feel like, especially for me, building in that 5, 7, 10 minutes of me creative time is kind of like getting that extra food at the harvest. And at the beginning of the game, I'm always like, this doesn't even seem like it's gonna do anything, whatever. It's what I have money for, so I'm just gonna buy it and hopefully it'll be helpful. You can even treat it like that. Like, I don't know, Christina said to do this thing for 5 minutes. That sounds like it's not even gonna matter, whatever. We'll just do it for 5 minutes. But then you'll realize, oh, I'm like refreshed for more, for more, for more. And so it's not gonna make all of the terrible, icky, I wanna quit moments go away. It won't. There is nothing that can fix that for you. I'm sorry, that's just part of the job, the best job, but that's the hard part of the job. But in the midst of the difficulty and the hard dying moments, it will give you the refreshment that you need when you need it and perspective to help make it through. And then it'll also give you a break. And when you're refreshed because you're doing what you're passionate about, you can come back to your kids refreshed and better give to them. At least it's been my experience. Even if that doesn't work for you, I don't want this to be like a guilty thing, like, oh, that didn't even work. Like, that's okay. This is hard, and it's okay that it's hard. I am a big journaler, but even if you're not, something that is helpful too is to journal about it. You don't have time in the moment to journal about it unless you have like your notes app there and you can just be like, oh, this is the worst day ever, blah, 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 blah. Or if you have someone that you can call real quick for like 5 seconds while your kids are running around and screaming or whatever, that could be helpful to kind of release some tension. But even if you can't do that in the moment, and once you get to the end of the day, you can take a second to journal and be like, this was a really hard day and this is why. And what I found is in the moment, I'm like, this is a dumb entry in this journal. I will go back several years later and read it and be like, wow, I've been having these hard days for a long time, or wow, that was my life at that time. But I don't like judge my past self for it. I'm like, good on me for like working through, even though I've had all these hard days, and for getting to this point and for still loving my kids after all we've been through. Are you guys ready for the big secret? The big way to make it through your day in your life as a mom? And this will come, I mean, obvious to some people and kind of as a shock to other people, but the biggest thing that helps me get through my day is prayer. God is love, you guys, and his heart is for you, and his heart is for your kids, and he wants you to make it through the day and lean on him when you need to. Life is not designed to be easy. If you've had any kind of experience living life, you will agree with me on this. It is designed to be difficult. It's designed to test you. And a lot of that gives you the opportunity to lean on your Heavenly Father, to reach out to God, to pray. Even if you're like, dude, I'm not a spiritual person, I challenge you to pray to Jesus and see, almost in like a testing way, like see where he comes through. God is our ever-present help in time of need, and he has you in the palm of his hand. He knit you together in your mother's womb. He has a plan and a purpose for you. And raising kids and loving those kids is going to be the most amazing, the most rewarding. We don't get a lot of accolades as moms because a lot of what we do is behind the scenes, but God sees you in your secret place. God sees you in the dishes that you're doing. He sees you in your faithfulness to do the laundry, or to take a break from the tasks to spend time with your kids and to teach them good things and how to love people and respect and these other things. So that's the thing that has helped me more than anything else in this mom journey, is when I feel at that breaking point, like I'm about to quit, like I have nothing left, I pray, and God is so good. He helps me. It doesn't mean that the situation necessarily always changes, but my perspective does change when I focus on God and realize in the grand scheme of life how amazing and blessed we are. And then that leads to gratefulness, which does something in your brain to bring you back to, okay, this life is good. That doesn't mean that you're like, this life is great, everything's better now, because that's just not real. I mean, maybe for someone it's real, but to say, this is really hard. thank you, God, for being with me in this hard spot, that I don't have to go through this alone. And he will go with you. I'm going to read to you guys one of the verses that most spoke to me during my entire motherhood journey up to this point. I've been a mom for a little over 3 years now. So this is something that really, really ministered to me, and I want to share it with you so that I can encourage you too. So Isaiah 40:11 says, he, talking about God, he tends his flock like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs in his arms and carries them close to his heart. He gently leads those that have young. And in some translations, it says he gently leads mothers of nursing or things like that. And this isn't about nursing. Breastfeeding is great for your kids. But I think back in biblical days, they would breastfeed their kids till they were 3, which is something that happens today. But that was like the standard, very common back then, is because they didn't have formula. You would breastfeed your baby till you were about 3. So that's, their first formative years, and they're really, really hard years. And God knows, guys, God knows that those years are hard. And especially if you have multiples in those years, he is gentle with you. He is not harsh. He is not demanding. He is not this mean God that's sitting in heaven upset with your progress or that the house is a mess or whatever. He is gentle with you. And that so spoke to me that God has such a heart for mothers of young children, and that he is tender with you as you are tender with your kids. And I'm going to pray for you. God, I just thank you for this mom who is, I just feel like you're saying that you delight in her, that she is such a treasure, and that she is so special to you. And you see how hard she's working. You see the small things and the hard things, and you are grateful for how she loves on these kids and how she is so devoted and so consistent. And you are just so, so proud of her. And I just pray that you will bring her blessings and surprises and fun things and more joy into her life and more opportunities. And God, I just pray for this woman who has this dream that has been tugging at her heart for a while, and she feels overwhelmed to get started and doesn't know what to do. God, I thank you that you are going to speak to her the path and the way in which to follow. And as she leans into you more, God, that you would even more so just pour out your love, pour out your blessing on her. And in the meantime, give her grace to make it through these really hard days. And in the midst of the overwhelm, that you would just kind of hold her hand and squeeze her and say, I'm with you, my child. It's going to be okay. Yes, it's a hard day, but I'm here with you. And Lord, that you would just bless these women, that you would make them the head and not the tail, that they would go forth and their path would be clear and they would be resolute in that path. And I thank you for your love. Jesus, we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen. In case you didn't hear it in the previous part of the video, I'm going to say it again. You're doing a good job. Thank you guys for watching Mom Babes. It is such an honor to spend time with you. I'm so grateful that you are here with me and that you actually watched the video to the end. Is very special. Thank you so much. I know your time is valuable and I really appreciate you spending it with me. And that's it. I'll catch you next time.